We're being shadow banned. They're silencing conservative voices. Social media are in the pocket of the Liberals and the Democrats. Nope. According to Twitter themselves, their algorithm promotes right-wing content over anything from the left. Fox News tweets are some of the most popular posts according to Twitter themselves. Can we stop Earth? I'd like to get off. Here's why you're wrong about Twitter being a left-wing echo chamber. Part 1. Twitter's study. Twitter recently released the results of an internal study looking at political content on their platform to see what was being boosted by their algorithm and why. Their aims, straight from the horse's mouth, were to discover if the content being amplified is impacted more by being algorithmically ranked or in chronological order, what political groups were being amplified and why, and if country or region was an impact, and finally, which news outlets were getting amplified more than others by their algorithm. What did they discover? That's the million-dollar question. Write your thoughts in the comments below. Time's up. Here's what they discovered. In 6 out of the 7 countries, except Germany, tweets coming from the politically right-leaning accounts were amplified more than the left. Of course, when they did this study in the 1940s, the results were unanimous. And secondly, they learned that right-leaning news outlets get a bigger boost from their algorithm than left-leaning publications. Conservative messaging is far less complex and so easier to share on social media. Even if we assume that to be true, that doesn't explain algorithmic amplification. Conservative content is fueled by emotion and anger, which naturally gets more engagement. Again, even if we assume that to be true, that doesn't explain algorithmic amplification. Look, can I just tell you the results? Fine. I'm not sure why you're mad at me. You're the one that scripted this whole conversation. Part 2. But why does this happen? Twitter doesn't know. So Twitter doesn't even know how its site works. Will you let me get to the point? Somebody's upset their tweets aren't doing very well. They understand how their site works, but their algorithm uses machine learning. And often machine learnings train themselves in ways that the coder doesn't understand. And yes, I am annoyed my tweets aren't doing well. I mean, come on, I'm not saying they're gold, but they should do better than Justin Bieber tweeting morning. That sounds lame. It's not the best system, it's kind of buggy. Think of it like the code version of Third Rock from the Sun. The aliens, or code, landed on Earth and then tried to replicate what they saw to try and act normal. That analogy barely works. Fuck off! It could be right-wing political figures are just better at using Twitter. Do not come for me in the comments. If you're going to shoot a messenger, make it this one. One of the study's creators said, when algorithms get put out into the world, we can't model for what happens when people interact with them. We can't modify how individuals or groups of people use Twitter, which makes sense. You can bake a cake that you think tastes amazing and assume that everyone will taste it the same way. The only way of knowing if that's true is by letting your friends or family try it, and inevitably them telling you, you don't put beans in a trifle, Rachel. But much like saying, when you boil a frog, you just increase the temperature slowly so that nobody notices, just because something makes sense doesn't mean it isn't something we shouldn't worry about. Also, why are you boiling a frog, Kyle? Because we don't have enough patrons, so we're just cooking whatever's around us. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become an internet explorer via our subreddit, Patreon, or brand new Discord. All of those are linked below. Smooth. Thanks. It shows that regardless of how the media is portraying Twitter as a left-wing echo chamber, and that is the main reason why right-wing alternatives are springing up like Parler, Getter, and even Trump's Truth Network, is not accurate. Because for whatever reason, the code, much like a pirate with a wooden leg that's on a ship that's listing, leans heavily towards the right. And secondly, they're publicly admitting they don't understand how their algorithm works. And yet, we're increasingly allowing algorithms to moderate our social discourse and conversations. Once more for the people at the back. Algorithms are being used to moderate content on websites like Twitter, and they're shaping the worldview of the people on the site. So if they don't understand how the algorithm works, we're in a real way allowing robots and machines to run amok. Part 3. Policy versus algorithm. I should quickly acknowledge the difference between Twitter's algorithm and policy. The results of this study show that the algorithm leans heavily towards the right, while their policy for what gets removed leans heavily towards the left. And yes, I am aware I sound like Donald Trump Jr. on a Twitter rant at 4 AM, but stay with me. There is no mention in this study if these two things are linked, and my educated guess would be that they're not, but it's worth highlighting that their policy, much like most Silicon Valley apps, is left-leaning. It's also worth pointing out that Twitter removes more right-leaning content and users than left-leaning accounts. So when an alternative platform is created, those who were removed rush to the new app to get their voice back quicker than Ariel the Little Mermaid. The only difference here is that Ariel tried something new, learned something about herself, and regretted it. while banned right-wing pundits come back stronger than ever with their beliefs that the left are destroying America. So even if the coders of these new sites didn't aim on creating a right-wing echo chamber, it becomes one by default. That then puts off more moderate voices like me from joining, exacerbating the problem even more. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Part 4. What can we do about this? Not a lot. Some Twitter users are switching their country to Germany to avoid right-wing and Nazi content, as it's illegal there for reasons that nobody has been able to explain to me. Interestingly, Facebook also did a study, but much like every Adam Sandler movie, I didn't need to see it to know it was going to be dire. Shock horror, Facebook creates and perpetuates right-wing echo chambers. So it's not just Twitter. Basically, the main takeaway here is that platforms don't understand how their algorithms work, which means in many ways we're all part of a massive social experiment. And much like the frog being boiled, the code is slowly learning and eventually it will go too far and there'll be no way back. Hopefully, Twitter does something about this before we all boil alive. But until then, you can follow me at This Made Me Cool. But what do you think? Is Twitter a left-wing haven? Does right-wing content get amplified on your feed? Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation about this in the comments below.